Yeah, but here it looks really crappy, so you better take a proper photo in the exhibition space and have fun.
I've done it. Yeah, I'm trying to think.
No, but more or less, can you explain me more or less what you want to talk about first, so we don't get... Okay, good. So
and where are you actually crafting with no hands in the end, using technology?
oh, we try to combine both, so
Yes.
it's not like one or the other.
Right.
Okay,
So maybe tell us a little bit about that.
yeah. So we are now at the in wearable sensors. Wearable sensors is the one of the educational themes of industrial design here in the Technical University of Eindhoven. And what we try to do here is to see how we can combine like crafts and technology, how we can also combine old and new, also how we can bring technology close to the body. Because it's completely different when we want to design something, an object or a wall, than when we want to design something on top.
So in this case, the body also then interacts with the garment
Yeah.
in order to create a particular result.
Yeah, and what we are not trying to do is something that does everything by itself, like a mobile phone. We want to do something that in combination with the body allows us to enhance the activities we do. So we are not designing objects here. What we try to do is to support a specific kind of activities. So for example, support meditation, support self-therapy, support communication between people, or support running or other kind of things. So that's a bit the idea. We're trying to support activities, actions that the body does. In order to support them, we tap into the movement of the body as a way of relating the context where it happens, the materials that we'll be using for the functionality that we want to support. And when we talk about materials, we talk about materials in a broad sense. So we also consider technology just as a material.
Exactly.
But a material that has dynamic properties. And that's a bit the challenge that we have in this department. So when materials start to behave, to be smart, to be intelligent, what would be the relation that we will have with them? What if this jacket actually can help me to give support to my back? When will I need it? How do I want to have these things? How the relation with this jacket and me will be? Will this jacket make me feel more comfortable, or will I become a slave of it? So also all the ethical implications and the social impact of our work, it's something that for us is also really important.
Excellent.
Shall we show some
Yes.
examples?
Yes, let's do some examples
Yeah.
and specific ideas that you described so
Yeah.
far.
So for example, here what we have is the work that we do in collaboration between the TU, the Institute of Advanced Architecture in Barcelona, and also ESDE, which is a fashion school. And what we're trying to do is combine like different disciplines and how they can work together. So the area of wearables is a quite strange topic. It requires a lot of different skills to work together. We need like people with a background on engineering, on software programming, on textile making, textile production. So what we have here is like, it's a really simple thing, but it shows a bit the idea of how we work. So this was meant for people that like to run. It was meant for people that they like to climb up mountains or go down. So actually what we are trying to do here, it's not completely create a new way of running, but support specific things. For example, support the way you move your arms, but also support the balance between one hand and the other. So when you're going down, the
Downhill.
it's quite unstable, and you need to kind of use your own body to create balance. Yeah, we'll get it in a bit.
Yeah, sure.
So this helps actually to connect the arms together through the shoulders. So what you're creating a structure to support you. So this is, for example, the way that and that's how we use the body in order to relate the context of running in the mountain and the functionality of getting a bit more support or getting more balance.
Where's the technology aspect here?
Here, the technology in this case is on the fabrication. So this is all laser cut in one piece with like a 2 meters or more like laser cutter. What we can do is get like a super thick piece of felt, natural felt, and also give properties to the material from completely rigid to flexible. And we can do that in one piece. But this was just the start. The next question would be, this material is completely inanimated, right? This doesn't behave. But what if this will behave? What can we do?
And by behavior, you mean simply
Change.
Change to
Change
by gravity
properties.
relate by what?
It could be, for example, that it heat ups, that it
Okay.
changes color, that
Right,
it
sure.
stretches.
Okay.
So, what the things that materials could do. So what in collaboration with the different students, what we came up with, it's this next version. And this one actually, what it does, it uses vibration to kind of guide the people, guide the balance of people. And what I mean by that, so if you are falling in one side, it can tap into this side to tell you have to go this way. What they realize is that this, it's not only for helping to keep the balance, but it's also interesting for actually making the people move in a direction or another. So if I'm going like this way, and I'm running, I will already move to the left, well, yes, left. If I'm moving this way and I continue running, I will move to the right, like a car, or like a motorbike, or like a horse. So in a way, we could control the way we run through giving specific feedback on the arms.
On the arm. Why would you need that feedback?
So imagine that you arrive to a city and you are like a person that likes to run a lot.
I see.
And you like to you run across the country, across the mountains, or across the city.
So you can pre-program your garment to bring you back to your home
Exactly.
base? Okay.
So the main idea is like, the way it works is you go to the website or you go to the place where they rent these things.
That makes sense.
You get like the circuit you want to do, you put this on, and you don't need to look at your phone, you don't need to look at anything anymore. You just run and experience the action of running.
So this is an idea, or does it actually function that way?
It does function that way. It connects to the mobile phone to get the GPS coordinates, and then through Bluetooth it connects to the thing. But it, of course, if I show you, it's still not, I mean, you can,
finished. Yeah.
it's still not finished.
The concept and the technology is here for that concept.
Yeah, and that also a bit relates to the way we understand interaction design here at the TU in industrial design. So we are not focusing on from a brief develop a producible product or service or system. What we work is from society to create a brief. And this brief, we try to let people experience it. So people with other backgrounds, other skills can then take it further.
So then could you say that this could also be applied to somebody who's blind, for example?
For example, but the context of application in this case was running. So that people that are moving in a specific kind of, in a certain speed.
But it's got a directional aspect to it too. So
but if you move slower, you might want to have these vibrations or something else in another part of the body. Because in this case, it's because you move the arms quite fast, and because the movement of the arms is what keeps you in balance. So they tap directly in the place where the feedback will be
most felt.
Most felt.
Now, this is sort of a silly question, but does this require much programming? Are you a programmer? Can you do that?
I'm not a programmer, so actually my background is on interaction design, but more on how to relate different information from different domains. So information that it's more like comes about the emotions, information that comes about the feelings of people, information that comes about the functionality of the object, information that comes from the material, and how we can combine it together. So for me, what I'm more interested is in the relation between the designer and society, and how we can confront the society with this kind of designs, or how we can make a group of stakeholders to develop new kind of objects, new things. And that's a bit like all what you see here. It's part of a research project where we try to tap into existing production companies, existing service designers, existing product designers, existing engineers, in order to design, develop, deploy services based on smart textiles locally here in the Netherlands. So that's what I'm working on, and these are just examples of what we are working on.
And this is all student work?
Some of them is student work, some of them is collaborative work, some of them is the work of some of the coaches here.
Do you have projects that you actually realize and are in production now?
Well, actually, what we have here, although it doesn't really look here because we've been showing it in other places, this is like a bed sheet with specific kind of patterns. But actually, it's an augmented reality application for kids to play with. But I think the best would be if I show you how it works, right? Christy. And the nice thing is that if I touch the surface, because this is soft, I move the grandma.
She bounces.
And so the good thing is that I don't need to program anymore the whole behavior of the grandma, because the kids or the parents can actually make it move. And I can, while making her disappear or appear again. Well, I mean, if it it's still in development.
It's a prototype, huh?
It's a prototype. But
You heard grandma's feelings.
yeah, I think so. But because, or maybe she left because the wolf is here.
Ah.
All right.
You know, the wolf is here now, and it's really angry, and it's looking for the grandma. So I can make him then like "Roar," or move or disappear or try different things. But maybe Christy can explain you a bit.
Okay.
Is it Christie's project?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Christy is the PhD student that's in collaboration with like an augmented reality, an engineering company, a weaving company, and graphic design company, and other people. They
So
developed
it's
this.
a collaborative effort. So
Yeah.
give me the basic principle here of how it's achieved.
So it's basically a fairy tale bed sheet, and you find the characters on it so that you can tell the story to the kids with your own accent on it. It tells the story of Little Red Riding Hood, but you can also put your own experiences into it. So when you interact with the wolf, you can also tell something about your own life challenges, perhaps, and then with the grandmother, you can actually exchange with your own grandmother's image. And we also have some flowers here to pick. The flowers are too dark.
But then how is it achieved?
So
How
the
does it
images,
work?
the images are woven into the textile, and then the tablet recognizes them and projects the 3D character on the screen.
So the images are coded into a program as if it were data of some other kind, and that data calls up yet another image that is embedded in there. Is that
Yeah.
right? Okay. So that's the how. It could be a set of numbers here. Forget the design,
Yeah.
and it would do the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand the principle now. How I like the concept, but in this case, I have to wonder, when will the child ever go to sleep at this rate?
Well,
When the lights are off, then it doesn't work anymore.
then this goes away. But indeed, actually, people think that it might be more useful to actually get children to bed.
To bed,
Yeah.
or at least to get them to the location of bed.
Yes.
I see. Because then they won't come fighting and screaming; they'll come joyfully.
Yeah, because they want to see their favorite characters inside.
The next step would be, I guess, to unveil an even more exciting creature under the covers.
Perhaps.
Yeah,
Why not?
as the next step. So it can become sort of an associative behavioral garment. It can change behavior.
Yeah.
So it's not just about augmented reality.
No.
You can get incalcitrant children, you can get people with dementia, you can get all kinds of things changed that way.
Yeah, for example, now at least what it tries to do, it's that by not completely animating the whole story and letting the parents and the kid create the story together, is also to use this moment also to transfer values and talk about their own things. Because now of course it's the Red Riding Hood, but they could use the wolf for some other story, and maybe the grandma is going to be their grandma that's doing some kind of things.
So you tell the story for the first time, this child has this augmented reality, it starts shrieking when he sees the wolf. What do? Can you change the wolf out for maybe a duck?
Yeah, why not? Of
You
course.
can. How quickly can you do that? Can the end user do that?
Not in this prototype, but in the future vision, yes.
Yeah.
The end
So
user
you have a
can do
selection of creatures. You can say, okay, over here I want duck instead of wolf, please, and you get a duck just happily bringing eggs.
Yes, that's
instead
what.
of fear.
That's
Or
what
maybe,
we
I don't know, you can have your avatars for whatever kind of game you have, and maybe your own family should be all on the thing.
On the thing, so it can be done. So you can download that family on the app. Okay.
Or you can upload your family.
Or upload, yes. Yeah. And what about this guy? Why was this more special for you? You wanted us to
No.
see that.
It's the same thing actually.
It
It's
is?
just a different color.
Ah, I see. So
It's a bit bigger.
the pattern is, or the image is bigger?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's exciting. So that's what augmented reality eventually means
Yeah.
here.
And the nice thing is that by using textiles instead of a hard surface like normally is used for augmented reality, like buildings, books,
Uh-huh.
we can tap into the properties of the textile, which means softness. It's the same when you project on a textile. When you project a screen on a textile, that if you move the textile, you deform the image.
You get waves. Uh-huh.
So the same happens here. As soon as we project on it, the objects always get projected perpendicularly to the surface. If the surface moves,
Then
the
the
objects
object
move.
moves, which is what you were talking about when you
Yeah.
press it down, etc.
And this opens like a completely new field of possibilities of combining like the software, the animations with the hardware, the textile.
So augmented reality in the end, you could say, is not about reality at all, but it's simply augmenting a surface.
Yeah,
Okay. Because it could be anything. This pattern could be on wood, and that would be the same thing.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay. So it's a programmed reaction on any surface.
yeah. But because of having it in a soft surface, allows to do much more than
Much
in
more.
other surfaces.
Sure. But also in creating this, then the added benefits are that you could have social interaction. You
Yeah.
could change behavior. You could
Yeah.
do all kinds of things.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
And
Great.
normally the way that an iPad or things like that they're used individually, they're used alone, so it becomes a mediator between people. But here it's a platform, as you say, a platform for social interaction, and not digitally social interaction, but actually we are together in the space doing something and sharing a moment.
But it's the same augmentation every time you use it.
Yeah.
So that then demands a certain amount of creativity in the end user.
Yeah.
What if they don't have any creativity? Then they're stuck with that one image or a selection of images that you pre-program.
At least from now, what we've seen from the kids using it is that they always find something to do.
A
with
new
it.
one. First
So-
the wolf, then the grandma, grandmother, etc. Variations of the theme.
Yeah, I mean, it's just something to play with that reacts, and people play with the cardboard box.
Yeah,
You know, the
that's
kids play
right, that's
for
right.
like hours and hours.
Or
so
climb a tree.
yeah. So
And
maybe can I show you another
yes.
project?
Yes, thank you. This
So-
was interesting for me because I haven't seen that before.
No, but you also haven't seen this either.
All right. I sat over here and tied my shoelace. I did.
Have a sit.
I'll sit again.
Yeah.
All right.
So what we have here actually, it's a pillow that is used. Let me put my coffee down.
Give me your back, give me your back.
So this pillow actually, it's to use in an elderly care home, and it's used for people with dementia that they are losing the capabilities to speak.
To speak
Well, they're using the memory, and therefore they also use the capability to speak.
because they lose the words.
But actually, you still keep your sensory motor skills for a much longer time. And that's actually what this taps on. So how can I, when I'm still able to talk, learn to use this tool for communicating? So when I will lose the capability to speak, I can still be,
Communicating.
and I can still be actively communicating.
So explain to me further how this communicates.
Okay, so this is a prototype that we just finished. We still need to integrate the technology, and it still needs a bit more filling inside.
Right, right. But if
But
it were working,
If it will work, what it would do actually is it will
Vibrate?
react. It will react to my movements.
so it vibrates or something.
Yeah, but it vibrates when it's done in collaboration with you. So if I do this, nothing will happen. But if you are touching here and I'm also doing things here, then the part that's more like soft
Yeah.
will vibrate. The idea with that is that you would ask me how this differs from just touching each other.
Yeah. How
And the
does it?
question is, do you want to be like for 3 hours holding hands?
Yeah, but do I want to for 3 hours be doing this?
No, but you don't need to be. You can also just put your hands like this and use it also to just cover yourself because you are cold. So the idea is that we can be together, we can be just watching TV, and if I want, I can do a bit of this. If this can maybe make you more active, because the problem also with people with dementia is that they become more like in their own world. So this is a way of bringing them back. And even if the person doesn't completely react to what you're doing, at least for the others, you have the feeling that they are reacting to your own activities. Because we have to be clear, at some point they won't be able to react anymore. So we are not trying to cure, because that's not going to happen, but we are trying to support at least the family that's around to have a more nice time with them.
So it's the equivalent of getting the last bit of flame still to not peter out. Okay.
Exactly.
So it's a sputtering candle, and you just make sure that it lights all the way to the bottom.
Yeah.
Whatever flame it has.
Exactly.
Okay. And so that's this one.
Yeah.
This was just finished. It's
Yeah.
another student project.
No, this is the PhD from Martijn. So maybe Martijn, do you want to come?
Yeah.
And this is done in collaboration with a textile designer. With the
What's the name?
Bore Akkerstad.
It's Bore's work. I thought
All right. Yeah.
We just met him yesterday.
Yeah. So this is the so he's been collaborating with us because he works with the circular knitting machines for this kind of
We saw
stuff.
examples yesterday.
So we thought that this was the perfect medium to be able to integrate the vibration motors and things inside.
Okay, great. So you want to tell us why you chose this particular subject?
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Your turn.
Come this way, please.
Have a seat. It's quite
And work
warm,
from
huh?
time to time.
Yeah.
Huh?
And from time to time.
Now tell me again who you are.
So my name is Martijn de Beumer, and I'm a
I
PhD
forgot.
student here.
Oh yeah, no, I'm just playing the fool. It's dementia. All right.
Yeah. So why did I choose to work on this project? It's mainly because from the start of my PhD we've been collaborating with an elder care provider here in the region, and they focus specifically on people with dementia. So from the beginning they showed us around, and I met a lot of these people and interacted with them, and from there we started to find out that actually in this tactility of textile there's a lot of value for them, because all day they're with their clothes, they're doing things, they're pinching.
I see.
So why not do something that can provide value for them and their family members? And that's kind of how this evolved from the beginning.
So isn't there the temptation then on a thing like this, where you have this, to also embed or imprint faces of their family or their familiar geography of the end user? Wouldn't that make sense to have it here? An album of markers?
Yeah, we actually had some projects where we explored that kind of more so focusing on the memories of people and trying to trigger some of these. But in this line we specifically chose not to put the focus really on the sensory
You've
skills
tried that,
people
you've
have.
also
But
tried
we
that.
did experiments indeed where, for example, we have this tablecloth.
Because I remember early memories very well.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
So we explored that in other projects where we, for example, looked at the familiar locations of people and to see if you show these locations what it would trigger these memories. But here we specifically choose to go for these motor skills and not for memory.
So the motor skills are more to allow them to remain engaged longer.
Yeah.
That's it. Instead of disappearing into a shell, they at least have this activity that they know they're happy with, familiar with, and if somebody else triggers that on the other side, they wake up in a way. That's the
Exactly,
idea.
that's the
So
idea,
it's the home page that's asleep that you wake up.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is
And it's also to trigger a little bit these movements, so
to
keep
keep
them moving
them
as
active,
well and
because
keep
there's
them
something to
active.
do that's specific.
exactly.
Okay, and I guess you can't really code behavior into this kind of user. Other than that, you can't say when you've done this, now you get up and walk and get some exercise.
No.
No, that wouldn't be the
But I think that what you can say is that by keeping them a bit more active, you can at least easily put their t-shirt on and off.
Right.
Which is some things that you don't consider that important, but for the
Elderly.
care providers, that they have to be every day putting the clothes on and off, it's something that, or for the family, it's something that it's really, really important. If they are able to move a bit, if they still have a bit of flexibility, it will make their life much easier. So this tool, it's not only for the person, but it's mainly for the family and for the others that are around. For the family, to make the person see them more alive. For the caretakers or the people taking care of the person, even if it's family, to make them more active and have the feeling that when you are with this person, you are getting something back.
Okay, it's conceptually challenging and interesting. I want to see it actually in the field, and I would love your data on that when you do it.
Yeah.
When is it ready to roll?
Well, we hope, I guess, around December to start with. So we now have two of these. We're starting to put electronics in, and then they're ready to be set out for a longer term test. That's the idea.
Oh, he's got the Bore label there too in leather. I complained to him that the circle was too close to the stitched edge, and he said, "Yeah, I agree." But I see that it's over here too, the same way. It needs a little more space there.
Yeah.
You agree also? The circle's a little tight against the seam. It changes. This is broader.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's the same over there too. Yeah. Anyway, that's great. Yeah, I looked at it and I thought this looks like the fabric we were handling yesterday.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool.
So the idea is by tapping into the expertise that people here have in the Netherlands,
Yeah.
how we can develop this together.
Yeah.
So if instead of Bore would be having someone else, we would have got another kind of fabric. If instead of working with the elderly provider that is really interested in dementia, maybe we'll be touching fibromyalgia or something like this. But it's to find out what's the expertise of the people that we have here locally in the Netherlands and how we can work together to make something that can be, as I said, so designed,
Game-changing.
developed. Yeah.
It could be game changing, and you bring in several disciplines, so the fabric designer to the interaction designer.
Yeah.
What's the hitch? Why was it slowed down in finishing the piece?
Well, it wasn't slowed down, I think, but it's just we're in the middle of the process
I
still.
see.
So this was actually done just 2 weeks ago. We
I
got
see.
it. So
Because
we're-
it seems finished, so does it mean that you have to open it to insert?
Yeah, but we're also developing the way to open them.
I
to
see. I see.
put the
So
conductive
this
yards
is
in
this
it.
is a prototype for that purpose.
Yeah.
Where will there be a zipper? How can you fix it if it's broken, etc.
Yeah. For example, in the other one, we are trying one site where we have already like the data and power cables already in. So wherever you want, you just need to then cut the part, put the electronics in,
And
solder it, and sew it back. So that also it can be tailor-made to each individual. Because that's a bit the idea of that we have with all these projects is as soon as you make things close to the body, they become really personal and they need to be customized for the person. And that's where the service idea can come in. So we are not just offering a pillow, we are offering the process of tailoring the use of the pillow to the person and the family. And the same way that for some of the other ones that we have here.
I suppose in that way it's being customized like furniture is. You choose your fabric, choose your wood, choose your hardware, whatever.
But because the stages of dementia also changes and the way that the person behaves changes,
You can
we can
upgrade
keep on changing the software into that. So it's not that you customize it
Who
once.
decides that? Is it a doctor who's saying, okay, now this patient needs to be zapped in this way or woken up in this way? Who decides that?
Yeah, I guess it goes in collaboration with the care provider. So people in this later phase of dementia, typically they live in a care home.
How would the caregiver even know what to tell you to do?
Well, actually they have quite a lot of experience in these care homes. So they keep a file on people, they do tests regularly to see if people are in which phase they are and how much they still can perceive from.
So I guess the next question is that this process of, twinning the action so that the person is aware that somebody else is there, etc. That's a known idea. That's not your idea. You're taking information and then incorporating that into this idea.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not as if you discovered that and therefore you did that. That's already there in the database, and that's the data the caregiver will continue to give you to enhance the product. Okay.
I think that the interesting thing here is that the service that we are trying to provide to people works on the sensory motor level. And that's something that I think that most of these projects here have in common, and that's what we really want to position ourselves in. So it's not that the the support for the communication happens by me talking to you or giving you a list of things you can do. It happens by tailoring the surface and the vibration on it so your touch and your senses get triggered by that.
Okay, so these are two very interesting projects. Let's see others.
Yeah. So I'm going to show you this one here, and I will need
out of the way.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And I think I will need Eujong also to talk about it. We have Eujong with us because she's been one of the, again, one in collaboration with others, in collaboration with the Textile Museum, in collaboration with Martijn, in collaboration with Christine, in collaboration with a company working on the electronic boards to develop this garment. So this garment is called Vibing, and it's for
Say that again.
Vibing,
Vibing.
Yeah.
and it's for like a self treatment, no?
Self-therapeutic tool. You can see the as form of the garment, which invite to like a touch and feel and move through the vibration therapy. We are looking at particularly the women who experience menopause symptom. Probably you don't know about the menopause symptom, but actually
I wasn't born yesterday.
yeah. Yeah, actually menopause symptom is just normal development and transition that all women undergoes in advancing age. But not surprisingly, just young women also are not risk on the menopause symptom due to the fact of the like eating disorder or diet disorder. So I think the menopause is all women actually quite a critical health problem in the modern society. So then how to assist that group of the women to be interactive, to be like tailored for the therapeutic approach, and then that's
So explain the therapy to me over here. What's the therapeutic part?
Yeah, I just explained it. You can see that
Those are vibrators?
yeah, that's
okay.
the pocket.
Uh-huh.
It contains the electronics, which is vibration sensors and motors, and it communicates online by the power and the communication line. So when you touch it, it's a vibrate and stimulate on the body. And actually, when you stimulate the body, it strengthens your muscles, which lead to the strength of the bones.
I see. Okay.
That's what that happens.
I see.
Also, our design, the smart textiles through the smart design, through the smart collaboration, which means the smart design. What we looked at, the function of the pocket.
So at what stage does this get activated? Do you actually have to touch it by hand, or the body's emotional state will tell you?
It has to be touched.
It has to be touched.
It has to be touched. It has to be interactive. It has to be moved through the hands, and then it activated the vibration sensors. And also that the smart design we looked at, the function of the pressure point can be rotated differently because everybody has a different the injury somewhere.
Right.
So it can be one by up, down, and backward and frontward, which means that the body pressure point located differently on the body.
It has to be designed that way. It can't just be worn differently.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then it more freedom for the people to be interactive and to be cured. Specific needs, their needs for the like rehabilitation, healing, and cure.
So the rest is just fashion here. This and this.
And also I didn't just mention it before, but we also follow the design approach. It's a felting and knitting process using a fully fashioned digital technique, working with the Textile Museum in Tilburg in the Netherlands. And you can see that the different textile
are in the same weave.
That's the felting technique we use. So it's when you felt it, you can get a different property of the Berkey, and you can feel the differently, and which lead to a different sensory experience.
Except that this is seamed. It is actually stitched, right? This part.
Yeah, that's
stitched.
We've got a 6 parts of the different knitted structure, and with the cities they'll put it together.
Is there an intent to make it in one go?
Tube project. Tube. Let's make a tube more easier to the people to interactive. That we are looking for in the next step of the vibing prototypes.
But this, even when you do it as a tube, you could you can computerize it so that it will actually be woven in this
Yeah,
way?
yeah.
It can be.
Yeah, it's a computerized digital
Yeah,
technology.
that's
We can-
fantastic, yeah.
And yeah, we
It's a
just
stretch fabric, so
Yeah,
it's body hugging.
It is exactly when you invite it to
Yeah.
stretch fully and
You wear it
shrinks.
that way.
yeah. And so diving, we just hoped that contribute to serve the inspiration for the health and well-being, and opened up the new design possibility or design new business model. We also hope that smart textile, the value of a smart textile can be possible to change in the design in the health and the societal or the industrial ramification that we are looking for through the Biving project.
What are you wearing right now?
That one,
Yeah.
that is one of my thesis PhD projects. That's
What does it do for you?
actually the foam is made of how to people touch and feel and move through the different mode of touch. So as you have a sliding touch, sometimes pressing and sometimes squeezing.
Right.
So I look at all the different mode of touch. How can this different mode of touch can be applicable to design?
I see.
That's
That's a
way of-
grasp touch.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's like a
And that's how you
squeeze.
came up with that.
Because squeezing is
Okay.
most desirable to increase level of sensory experience.
Right.
So that's come up with the foam. Yeah.
So it's a concept scarf.
Concept or wearable in everyday activity.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you can
Yeah, it's very
Okay.
nice. Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
thank
thank you. Yeah. How does it keep its shape? Does it have? Oh.
it's a natural felting process I take. It's very flexible and then you can touch it.
I see. And because of this, it takes on a certain amount of engineered strength.
Yeah, I used
So it's a double.
That is, I used the engineering pressure the machine, and if you use the pressure with high temperature, and you can make that foam, and it's so you can feel like touch through the air in. So it's a main.
How is it sealed here? This is
I
it stitched?
I
It's a
stitched it.
stitch.
Yeah. Then you can make.
Did you
the-
hand stitch that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
in
but
this
it can
project.
be industrially stitched.
Yeah, that's we are looking for. Without stitch, just manufacturing made the
One
circuit
in
board.
one go.
Yeah, that's next idea.
Right,
Because
right.
That is just a rapid, whatever.
Whichever way you want.
Whatever one.
Yeah, that's great.
And also the protected by the heat attack, because it's like a cushion when you just wrap it up. It make a lots of layer through the
It could be a protective layer.
cover, like protected by the air.
I see. It could be a protective layer.
Yeah.
So if you were a runner or whatever, and you want to,
Yeah,
you want to
it's something-
protect certain aspects
Yeah,
of
I'll
the body,
just
you
show
could
you
just
the
wear it.
picture.
Yeah. Okay.
Something like that. It just
It looks
a-
decorative. Yeah.
But
like
decorative
jewelry.
also you want to explain that one too. Yeah,
Yeah,
something
we
like
got
that.
two ideas here. On to our next talent.
Next
Or have we
one.
done?
I don't know.
Uh, show us. And what about Iris? Is she someone you know?
By a it's a final bachelor project. And the interesting thing here, also to the kind of things we were talking before, it's how we can use crafts as a way to exploring new ways of integrating textile technology. So this is actually, this one started by learning, or she started by learning how to do bobbin lace. So this is actually bobbin lace.
Okay.
But then she started exploring multiple ways. So she started saying, what if I use a thicker yarn? Then I will need thicker bobbins. And when she was able to do that, then she had to also scale the patterns. Then she also thought about, well, what if instead of being flat, because bobbin lace is normally flat, I move it into 3D. Then instead of using this kind of round surface, she used a 3D 3D model to work on it. So it kind of combines like 3D modeling with some kind of cam tool, so bzzz, getting the thing out, with then hand bobbin lacing the thing on top. And actually what we have here, it's a tube structure that has a conductive yarn. It has this tube structure, and then on top it's painted with thermochromic inks. So what we have here is actually a metallic mesh, but you don't see it at all. It looks quite sensual, it looks quite pretty in a way.
Does it do anything else?
Yeah, what it does actually, it can sense where you are touching, because on top in some areas there's also some conductive thread, and it can heat up. So the idea, what we are trying to do is create a dialogue between the person wearing it, the material, so the garment, and the other person on the other side. To be more explorative with the other people's body, to be more playful.
So it's the dating game here.
Yeah, or it's
or the mating game.
So the moment that you start to explore each other's body.
Yeah.
For example, imagine that I'm touching it here.
Sure.
First, one thing that can do is to leave traces of what I've been touching, so it will be kept warm in the areas that I've been touching, but also I will see a change of color, so I will know what I'm touching. So here what is important is that we are trying to make a direct connection between the senses. So I touch, therefore the other person can feel the warmth of my hand, but I can also give feedback to the person about what has been touched by heating up other areas. Because if you're wearing this thing, you don't see it. So it doesn't matter if it blinks, it doesn't matter if it changes color, I'm not going to see it. The only thing that I could feel is feel the warmth of my body. And that's what we are trying to use here. Try to tap into all the senses and try to make a direct connection, a direct mapping between the input and the output.
Is it likely to be produced, or it's a concept?
No, this is a concept, but for example, the possibilities could go into massaging, could go into multiple directions.
Sure, I mean, hosiery and underwear is an obvious choice.
Exactly, but it could be for a lot of other things. But the idea that you can then be more, in the same way as this one, you can be more aware of the areas you've been touching. It can actually show you other areas to touch. So it can actually also, like the other one, can give the information about the doctor, can give the expertise about how you should do your own massaging by tapping into this level of technology or the smartness.
Exciting. So what is that vertical piece there?
Oh, this is like a second-year project that was done a few years ago. And what it does, it's just for the students to learn what it is a modular system, to learn how to produce things with textiles, and then look at different interaction possibilities.
I see. So it's more of a learning tool.
Yeah, and here you have some of the how it was made, the different kind of process, the early prototypes and the final one. Because we always try to work in different scales. So the scale of the body, the scale of the interior, and sometimes the scale of the building. But mainly we work on the scale of the body and interior.
And Bore was one of your students?
No, Bore, we just hired him to collaborate in the project.
But was he a graduate of?
No, of Design Academy.
I see.
I think.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think we can wrap.
Yeah, I think. No.